So if you've been trying to get GPT-5 and thinking this doesn't feel as smart as everyone said or feels lazy compared to Claude, you're not wrong. OpenAI just published their prompting guide, and apparently we've been prompting it wrong. Like, we've been using Claude and GPT-4 patterns that don't work in the same way with GPT-5. And I haven't read through their latest prompting guide, but from what I'm seeing in the preview, there's some interesting stuff here about reasoning, effort parameters, and like different prompting parameters, as well as Cursor's team, who apparently shared what worked for them in production. So instead of me reading this alone, I thought I would just go through this with you together live, and we figure out what's actually different. There's possibly some stuff that we're missing here that the Cursor team and the other folks have like cracked, and all of that information has been shared here in this prompting guide. And I thought it'd be really interesting for us to take a look at it. This is not going to be like drama stream or anything like that. I think we're just going to approach this straight up as an engineer and try to take a look and just prompt live together. So keep in mind, this is going to be a really awesome live stream as we walk through this together and have some fun kind of exploring and being an engineer and figuring out, you know, how far can we push these models? Are they as good as they say they are? And let's just kind of do our own evaluation. So this is kind of what I'm thinking about where we explore, just so you kind of know. There's basically something in here about controlling how hard the model thinks, like reasoning effort settings. And these are patterns for tool calling that are different from Claude. And apparently there's some specific ways to prompt it to make it less lazy. So I'm really interested in that. And I also want to discover like this together, like with my actual code base. So we'll see if we can find some interesting patterns. I'm obviously going to share them in the guide. I'll have some stuff in the Discord below. There's some links to join the Discord, and I'll have some more information on that later as well. So there's no prep. This is no script. This is just us hanging out on a Saturday. We're just going to cook live, right? And hopefully it should help us figure out like if this guide actually explains why GPT-5 has been falling off. And more importantly, if their suggestions actually fix it. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and start cooking right now live. This is the OpenAI cookbook, and I'll drop this right now into the actual chat so that y'all can play with this right now. And appreciate everyone who's been able to join in on the stream so far. And so what they're saying here at the very beginning with the prompting guide, with their flagship model, is that the agentic workflow predictability. So they train GPT-5 with developers in mind, and they focused on improving tool calling, instruction following, and long context understanding to serve as the best foundation model for agentic applications. That's really interesting. I really like this. If adopting GPT-5 for agentic tool calling flows, we recommend upgrading to the Responses API. So let me go ahead and pop that open and see what that's all about. Where reasoning is persisted between tool calls, leading to more efficient and intelligent outputs. Let's kind of read that back again. So they recommend upgrading to the Responses API. So that's kind of the first thing they're already recommending, like right off the get-go, which I find really interesting. And then the other part of it here is that they're basically saying reasoning is persisted between tool calls. And so I don't know if you know this, if you ever ask like an agent for what the weather is, it's going to go out, get the weather, and return it back. But then like if you need to do something else with the weather, because now you're looking up, for example, like a vacation, and you want to know what to pack for like 2 weeks, you're going to have to keep that information and do some reasoning with it, right? So now you need the weather information plus what are some of the information and parameters you have, for example, for your packing trip. And then you say, yeah, I'm a male, I'm 6'3", 200 pounds, and I want to do carry-on. So now you need to keep this reasoning information and the weather information along with future tool calls. Like if you need to go out and look up some flight information, or if you need to go look up some other types of things, like while you're looking up flights, like what are, you yourself are going to have lots of questions. And so when you're designing these agents and these tool calls, this is what they're saying in the Responses API, is that they're going to persist these between the tool calls. So that's just kind of us thinking about it out loud of like what they're delivering to us and why is it going to be more efficient and intelligent. And this is what we're really going to test here, and how this can really apply to code, and maybe some things that other people aren't really looking at yet that we can discover together. So I think this is going to be really interesting for us to take a look at. And I'm just kind of reading this out loud and trying to digest what this is saying, because I really don't know. It's gonna be just all over the place. So whatever, let's hang out. So let's take a look at this API references. So it says in the API platform, in the Responses API, this is saying that OpenAI's most advanced interface for generating model responses supports text and image inputs and text outputs. So it creates stateful interactions with the model using the output previous responses as the input. So you're kind of having this like cascading effect, like I was saying with that weather example and then like the travel example, right? So like they're kind of now If you look up the weather and then now you're looking up the airline and now you're looking up additional information, you're going to keep rolling these responses down the hill. And then you can just kind of basically keep compounding these efforts until you get to a specific result. Because just like a human, you don't always have all the right information to begin with. So you're going to ask questions. And I think the magic here is this composability. And that composability is like, I don't know, I have a task and then I need to ask more questions and either get more context or ask the user for more of that context that we need. So for example, like if you're doing a vacation thing, maybe I should ask the user if I don't have that information. Let me see if I actually have a tool call in my chest to see if I can look up any information in a database that already has information about this user, right? So you're like, oh yeah, in my tool calling, I actually have a thing that it's going to go look up in the database and it says, I have this information about the user. And then in your code, you could just write that as a condition. And if there isn't that information, let's go ahead and prompt the user back before we begin the next set of tool calling. So that's an interesting way of kind of framing what this could mean, and how you can kind of think about your applications to chain them together, right? And use them together here. So this is like create stateful interactions with the model using the output of previous, right? Extend the model's capabilities with built-in tools for each file search, web search, computer use, and more. So that's interesting about computer use because this is probably something that I've seen on their agents. So if you go to chatgpt.com, you can actually select the agent. And this is like their apps themselves are probably perfect examples for this because they actually are using these APIs themselves. And we can kind of see what's happening here. So in agent mode, it's actually going to call a computer use type of thing. And you can kind of grab some more information, go to a different document or do what you need to do. So allow model access to external systems. So the quick start guide is here. So I think, let me just kind of see what this says here. I try to, hopefully my screen doesn't freak out. Yes, it's freaking out. It's okay. I'm going to do Command 0. I just want to make sure I get the sizes right. And so it looks like they have a couple of things. It says create a model response. And let me go ahead and move my head so that way you can kind of see this left side. So the responses are broken down into these specific categories, and they show create a model response on the left. It says get a model response, delete a model response, cancel model response, list input items, the response object itself, and the input item list. So this is interesting. Let me just quickly scroll through this information and kind of see what they're looking at here. So this is about creating a model response. So you basically want to create a model response, and it says, this is where we provide like the text input or the information about, whatever we want to ask it here. And we provide a text or image input to generate the text or JSON outputs. So this is what it should be expecting. Let me go ahead and look and see if there's a TypeScript example, because sometimes in TypeScript, it's really nice. It can show us, or JavaScript, I guess, like maybe what types and stuff to expect. Because it just says, we're just going to go ahead and create we call it the GPT-4.1. Tell me a 3-sentence bedtime story. Okay. That's interesting. And then there's an instructions parameter here, max output tokens, tool calls, max tool calls. So I don't know if you know, but like if you don't set a limit for the max tool calls, the agent can go on forever. And so at some point, sometimes you want to set a thresholds so you don't either burn through a lot of tokens or burn through a lot of GPUs or something if you're doing some expensive tasks. So I think there may be, hopefully there's a default here. I know that Cursor at one point set it to like 25, but yeah, this is an interesting quick overview of the responses. We can kind of take a look at that again. But let me just go ahead and pop back into the guide here, into their actual thing. So this is just the agentic workflow predictability from the cookbook that they mentioned. And so the next thing we're looking at here is the controlling agentic eagerness. So they're saying the agent scaffolds this and can span a wide spectrum of control. Some systems delegate the vast majority of the decision-making with the underlying model, while others keep the model on a tight leash with the heavy programmatic logical branching. That's interesting. So let me see if I can really, if I could explain it to you, that means I can understand it. Right now, I just don't understand all that. I'm just going to be honest with you right now. Like this is kind of why I want to do this on stream, because I get intimidated. And I don't know if you know this, but I dropped out of school for this reason. It's so hard for me to read, and it takes like a lot longer for me to digest it. But once I do digest it and I can teach it back, then all the unlock really happens, and we can kind of try to use it here. And so, yeah, I think we're going to do this a little bit, and just want to give a quick shout out to everyone who's been kind of joining on the stream. Big shout outs to here as well. G Costa as well. Abe reposted. Thank you so much for reposting the stream. Does Cursor already do responses API? Feels like it. Yes, Cursor definitely does it, and they've been using this for quite some time. God bless you are my life. The night shift is going to be good from now on. Oh man, this is what we're all about. So, yo, what's going on, tech friend as well? Let's go. Hey, maybe that's why Codex works so well, because it uses a responses API. Exactly. And that's why I'm really excited to kind of be here with you guys on the stream, because we're really just going to cook here and take a look further on this type of thing. It's going to really help us inform our thinking. But then once you do this, the prompting is going to be the next level for us, right? Let me just give you a quick preview of what I saw earlier. So like this context gathering XML is what we're going to probably play with a little bit later in the stream. And we're going to I'm going to use Claude Sonnet. There's a couple tools. Claude Sonnet as one of them. I want to see Claude Sonnet, Claude Opus, see if they can generate some of these prompts for us so we can get examples, because I have some like really rough and dirty examples of like ideas. So like I have an app that I made, using the OpenAI image API. And this was my prompt. It's like a really like, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking. It's just rough and all over the place. And I want to do a lot of things. I just brain dumped it. But like I can pop this into Claude and see if it can actually, and give it some of this documentation, see if it can help us write a better prompt for this, right? The other part that they are going to mention is this other thing from Optimize for GPT-5. So they actually now, OpenAI provides a prompt builder. So you can give it this developer message and it's going to try to actually optimize the prompt for us. So we're going to go ahead and dig into that in the future here as well. If you're wondering kind of what we're going to be getting into. And if you're just joining in the stream right now, this is kind of where we, just going to take apart this live and learn together. So this is what it's all about. Kind of like school's in session, but I don't know. I love this stuff. This is what I do on the weekends. Just have fun and read, try to read documentation, right? But I think it's more fun to do it in public. So for controlling agentic eagerness, so first we already covered the agentic workflow predictability and the responses API, and the responses API is linked there. And that's kind of has like quite a bit of things it can call in its responses thing. And then as far as controlling agentic eagerness, so this is the part I didn't really understand. I'm going to reread again. Maybe it'll make sense the second time. So agentic scaffolds can span a wide spectrum of control. So I guess when they're saying agentic scaffolds, I guess just means like when you scaffold something, I guess you would kind of put together, I don't know, like a ladder, right? Like this is my little repeatable thing. And then it kind of takes on its own life, right? Like if you have maybe like a recipe or something, you could say like, this is the agent recipe. And then once you put it into the oven, it's going to cook and rise and do all that good stuff, right? So this just means we have more control. So some systems delegate the vast majority of the decision-making to the underlying model. Okay. And while others keep the model on a tight leash with the heavy programmatic logical branching. Okay. So it looks like we have a couple different options here. So from what I understand here is like with agents, you can do a couple of things, right? You can either write all the specific code to take you down this path. And a perfect example is like, if you've never been to a house before, how do you know where the bathroom is in the house, right? As a human, you start to like look around, you scan, you're like, I don't know, let me just go through this door. All right, there's 2 more doors, left or right, which one do I do? You're looking around, you're like, okay, that door has glass on it. I can kind of see a picture of a toilet. Let me just go that way, right? So you as a human already made these decisions without any map or anything of the house, right? So that's kind of like, I guess here what they're saying in the like controlling the agent eagerness, right? Do you want to write all this code to try to figure this out for every single house in the world? Or like, how do you figure this out, right? And so if you were to give an AI model the similar capabilities, how do you do that here? You can either just rely on the intelligence of the model and see how far it gets you, or you can write the specific steps line by line and saying, once you get past this door, call these tools, which is like scanning for the door tools, call this image tool to take a picture. Think of yourself as a robot, like as the agent is kind of like your robot, and you can give it capabilities with like the tool calling. And then you can either just rely on the model to make the decision on the next move, or you can just say, I have this already coded out, because every time I code this specific section where I need to take a picture after I open the door, like my reliability rate goes up to like 90%, right? You kind of have to measure these things or kind of think about them. But I think the only way to do it is just kind of try it out, right? So this is kind of the way I'm thinking about this when I like to learn is like, okay, how does this actually relate to something real? And this is kind of where I'm seeing it. So GPT-5 is trained to operate anywhere along the spectrum. That's kind of cool. So it's not like one or the other, right? From making high-level decisions under ambiguous circumstances to handling focused, well-defined tasks. So this is what's interesting, and I think this is kind of what's going to separate us from the hype that's currently online, is that I think a lot of people have just been YOLO prompting like I am, right? And they don't get the result they want, but like it may take additional steps or additional like tuning to kind of get it to where we need to go, right? So this is very important, especially if we're going to be making our own apps, to utilize these capabilities and understand that this is some of the intelligence that's actually there for us to use, right? It's almost like we have too much choice and too many tools, right? In this section, we'll cover how best to calibrate GPT-5's agentic eagerness. In other words, it's a balance between proactivity and awaiting explicit guidance. Okay, that's an interesting thing here. So prompting for less eagerness. So this is the interesting one that I'm really curious about, is that you actually have to prompt it to be less eager to do stuff. So GPT-5 is by default thorough and comprehensive when trying to gather context in an agentic environment to ensure it will produce a correct answer. That's interesting. So by default, just the model is going to try to be very thorough. And so this is a common mistake that I've made. And I've seen a huge change when I set the model to low instead of like high reasoning, is that in low, it tends to behave really good and really fast in cursor. So when I'm using cursor now, my default's not medium anymore. I actually change it to low. So GPT-5 low, and I sometimes change it to fast. And it's so fast. Like it works through problems really quickly. Like I just had it go through a V0 project and I'm converting it to Tailwind V4. And I said, just can you give me all the different directories that I need to remove this extra stuff that's installed? I'm not using half of these components. And so I left it on high and I did the same run. It just took forever to do it. And like it still kind of missed some stuff because it got confused. But as soon as I set it to low, it's just like, oh, I know what you're doing. This is what you're doing. This is all you need. We got you. I was like, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Interesting that the cookbook also calls this out. And so that to me already gave me some hints of like, how do I adjust that slider for myself when I'm in cursor? But then when I'm making apps too, it looks like this is kind of the same way. By default, it's going to try to get as much information as possible. And remember our context rot thing? If you haven't seen that, I have a video on this. But basically, if you introduce too many distractors, like too many places in the code where the model can go, and then by default, it's going to try to figure out, hey, the model's going to make a decision. Earlier, we were talking about that. You can either say, you can keep the model to a tight leash or just rely on the model for the decision making. So if the model's relying on the decision making, number one, and you give it way too much context and too many distractors, the model's just going to pick one of them and just go. And you're going to feel like, why did it generate all this dumb code for me? Like, that's not what I wanted it to do. It's like, bro, I think you gave it too much context. And like the decision tree with the model being the one that makes the decision is actually kind of what broke here, right? And so just understanding how some of these basics are put together and packaged for you will help you not only with your prompting, but maybe understanding what points you need to be more specific and not. And so that's a really interesting thing here that I'm just learning from this, and hopefully you're getting something out of this too, because this is kind of really teaching me a lot about how the model's actually working underneath the hood. And this is the type of stuff I really like to kind of dive deep on. So yeah, let me see what's going on here. So all right, so we've learned a couple of things here. So there's a agentic workflow predictability, which is one part of it, right? And there's the responses API, which is over here in the API reference from OpenAI's platform. And the responses API has something about creating a model response, getting a model response from them, deleting a model response, like canceling them, listing the input items. And then from the model responses, you can expect a text or a JSON response, like a structured object. But you can also give it like images and text and so forth, which is super cool. And so the response object is basically kind of curated like this. It has a background when it was created, the actual details and the instructions as well, and output tokens, and then tool calling. And then the other thing about this too is the fact that like you can basically give it like chains of reasoning. So it does some type of thinking, like weather calling, and then it grabs that, and then it can do additional thinking afterwards. So it's saying, hey, since I'm supposed to be packing for this person and using a carry-on only, do I have information now? Like you can just, the model's going to try to reason and figure out what the next step is. Like I don't have information from the user because I should have that, how tall are they and how, what's their weight, so it can understand what to pack. Are they male or female? And so the model's like, oh, let me see if I have this tool for it. Nope, I don't. Let me just prompt the user back to get that information. So that's part of this whole like agentic workflow, which is part of this whole thing here. And then another thing that we talked about was about like how to actually optimize the prompts for the models, which we're going to get into as well in the future here. So there's a couple of ways now to control the agentic eagerness. And so you can either rely on the model or do your logical branching. And so by default, it sounds like the, GPT-5 is like thorough and comprehensive when trying to gather information, and so it can try to produce as best of answer it can. So to reduce the scope of GPT-5's agentic behavior, including limiting tangential tool calling action and minimizing latency to reach the final answer, try the following. So the reason why we have to do this is by default, the model's just going to be so hungry for getting as much information as possible. You may have to tell the model to chill. Daddy, chill. Right? Like you have to just tell it to chill out for a second, which is kind of a good problem to have, right? But it's interesting. It just kind of gets me thinking about lots of things. So yeah, that's what's up. So let's see. Switch to a lower model, a lower reasoning effort. So you have to go to reasoning effort and switch that to lower. This reduces exploration depth, but improves the efficiency and latency. Many workflows can be accomplished with consistent results at a medium or even low reasoning effort. So next time you're in Cursor, try low. If you're using high, step off that. I made a joke about using the Snoop Dogg model, and there's a reason why I called it the Snoop Dogg model. Because if you're too high, sometimes you get high and you can't really figure out what's going on next. It's like too much information, right? So we got to go back down to the medium or go back to the low. So it's okay if you're down low. Just think about the low riders. They're so cool. They're going by. They get stuff done. That's how you got to ride, my friends. We got to do the low rider reasoning effort for the OpenAI cookbook. We're cooking literally with OpenAI's cookbook. So that's what's up. Define clear criteria in your prompt for how you want the model to explore the problem space. So we should define so a lot of times it's not really clear to me what the criteria I should be using for accomplishing a task, right? And how to actually explore the problem space, which I find really interesting. Because a lot of times I'm just prototyping. I'm just like, hey, I want to do this with this API, help. And that's where I feel like Claude Sonnet and Claude Opus are so good at trying to understand what you're trying to think. They choose a route and they just keep going and going and going. It just feels like magic, right? Where here, we maybe have to step it back a little bit and then kind of be a little bit more explicit. But hopefully the results can be better, right? I don't know yet, right? We're just kind of exploring this and trying to understand. GPT-5 is out there, like what is really underneath the hood and like what's actually really happening in terms of the architecture. So we're getting a small peek of what's happening in the architecture here and how people are designing apps around it, right? And how Cursor could even be utilizing it, because that's really important in this cookbook here. So this reduces the model's need to explore and reason about too many ideas. So that's kind of the distractor problem we're talking about earlier. If you have too many ideas to reason over with, then it's possible that you can throw the model off and it can actually get worse results. So here they actually put it in these little XML tags. So to generate an XML tag, what you do is you want something that's opening like this. You basically have these little alligator brackets, one at the beginning, one at the end. And to close off an XML tag, you just basically put that little slash at the beginning. So you got to make sure that it's basically a sandwich, right? Like one part of the sandwich is at the top and then the other part's at the bottom. And you got to make sure you use the same keyword at the top and the bottom. And then inside, they're basically doing this type of method here. So they're doing goal, colon, whatever this is, and then method, colon, line, 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 line. And so if you put in LLMs, if you've ever done any type of markdown prompting, there is an actual difference from the language model if you just put those little dashes. So when it goes into a list order, it's going to take a look at that list. And that first thing that's on the list is usually the highest priority. And it's going to try to step through the second, third, and fourth, and so forth. So you'll want to experiment here. If you do make a list and you do it in numbered order, it will try to follow those numbers from a procedure step by step by step. And so it can vary here as far as how prompting works, but that's just my experience with prompting using XML or Markdown. And I'm really curious to see like how it follows these instructions and how we can kind of flip our little thing. So in this goal, this is get context fast, parallelize discovery, and stop as soon as you can act. So that's interesting. They're basically just saying, as soon as you can act, just stop, right? That's cool. And so here they say method. So they define a method, start broad, and then fan out to focus subqueries. In parallel, launch varied queries, read top hits query, duplicate paths and cache, don't repeat queries. Avoid over searching for context. If needed, run targeted searches in parallel batch. Wow. And then the early stop criteria. So, wow, this is a really good prompt. I imagine it was developed over several iterations. So we're just reading this for the first time and I'm kind of shocked. This is beautiful. This is beautiful prompting. You can name the exact content to change and the top hits converge 70% in one area path. Escalate once. If signals conflict or scope is fuzzy, run a refined parallel batch, then proceed. And then the depth. Trace only symbols you'll modify or whose contracts you rely on. Avoid transitive expansion unless necessary. Yo, this is a crazy prompt. Loop. Batch search, minimal plan, complete task. Search again if validation fails or new unknowns appear. Prefer act over searching. So this is interesting. If you're willing to maximize, to be maximally prescriptive, you can even set a fixed tool called budgets like the one below. The budget can naturally vary based on your desired search depth. So you can say search depth low, and then the bias strongly towards providing a correct answer as quickly as possible. So you notice that the key things that you keep seeing being repeated are to like get to the answer as quickly as possible, because it sounds like the GPT-5 agent is really good at spinning up things in parallel and going down these different idea spaces. And so in order for you to kind of finally anchor on the answer, you maybe like want to go down these idea spaces and you want to say, hey, it's like kind of sending like a big shotgun blast, like boom, here's a big space, go down that alleyway and then you'll hit something. You're like, we got to go that way. Okay. And then you just got to keep going and going and going. And that's kind of what you're sort of directing GPT-5 to do, is just like move down this space and hopefully it will get there. So yeah, it's really interesting. Let me just kind of pause right here and get to some of the comments because yeah, it's really interesting as far as what everyone's been up to. So this reminds me of the Dan Dev videos that went deep into prompting. Yes, I've seen some of his videos and he does an amazing job with prompting. And I feel like, it's really interesting to see it kind of come around here in the like GPT-5 era. Breath first as far as like the models and stuff. Yeah. So the agentic features of intake is very powerful. I'm working on a vet intake and it's just said biopsies in liquid, soft, hard tissues. It generated a really good intake without specifying. See, this is where it's going to get really interesting. And I think we're going to start seeing some cool applications, especially in medicine, because now you can start to define in very good detail, like what you want the model to kind of go down. And so sort of prevent the hallucinations that people keep talking about. So if you can steer the model this good, I think it's going to be very, very promising. Good night from London. It's past midnight here. Oh my God. Hopefully everyone's doing fine. Hey, how's it going, Sardar? Thank you so much for being a member and kind of popping in. So I've been testing OpenAI's open source 20B and anything LLM and noticing that it can't really be used in agent mode. I switched over to Gamma 3 and it works fine. Yeah, see, agent mode has to be trained into the model. And I think it was trained, but maybe it's not that good at it or something like that. But would be here, curious to hear your opinion. Alex Finn, how's it going, man? Yo, everyone slam that like button in honor of Ray crushing it on a Saturday. That's how we do it here. Definitely appreciate everyone with a thumbs up. I've been using Windsurf for the last days. GPT-5 medium and low reasoning is working really well and free and still free. That's dude, this is some real Mikael. Thank you so much for popping this in. I think this is a really good idea. Prompt optimizer. Yes, we're going to get into that. Yo, I dropped out too. Yes. Yeah. Big shout outs to us who dropped out of school and who just followed our passion for tech, right? So yeah, this is really, really cool. All right, folks. Also, if you want to check out the Discord, I have a link here if you want to go ahead and scan this. And so I've already reached my first 100 members who have joined our Discord. And so you guys have locked in the early bird pricing. And so for the next 100 members, and we're almost there, we're like around 140 or so. until we get to that 200 mark. Right now, to get into the Discord, it's just $14.99. And then the price will double after we get to that 200 members. So if you haven't done so yet, feel free to join. A bunch of really amazingly cracked folks who are in there. It's really nice because I just share a lot of like bookmarks and things like this and kind of talk about what everyone's building. And just, it's been a really fun community to kind of hang out in, and just appreciate everyone who's been able to join in so far. So if you haven't had a chance, you can scan this code or just go to HTTPS. Let me just type this in. HTTP //rfer.me/discord. And if you click this link, this will take you to the checkout for the Discord if you're interested to join the Discord. And so the Discord's, it's different from the YouTube membership. I basically was onboarding people by hand because I didn't really think I'd get 100 people to sign up. And I was just blown away at the support and everyone kind of, rushing to sign up for the Discord. And so now this is a way to, support the channel. And this is all done automated now. So now if you scan the QR code or if you click that link, this is going to take you to the sign up for the Discord. So definitely appreciate everyone who's been able to join in support so far. Y'all are real ones, and I'll see you on the Discord as well. So this is going to be hanging out there. So awesome. So let's take a look here. So what I want to do, I want to see if I can figure out, I want to play with this prompting. I want to see if I can cook with this because I feel like we can really do some serious stuff here. Okay, so I want to take a look at this, control this part, prompting for more eagerness, and then tool preambles. Okay, and this is some example output and reasoning effort, right? So you know what? I'm just going to take the whole thing, view as markdown, and we're just going to pop that into Claude Sonnet. I'm just really curious, right? So, what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm just going to paste this in here. So we literally have the whole prompt guide all up in here. That's a lot of tokens. And so let's see. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I have extended thinking, I have Opus. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to say, I have this Notion document, and this was basically my, for generating an app. So I wanted to upload images at the very beginning, start showing gallery. And then once they upload an image. So this is kind of my idea for my app, basically for my prototyping, and then some references and documents and examples to show. So I'm going to go ahead and do this copy and paste and say, I need your help optimizing my prompt following the guidelines for GPT-5 below. And then go ahead and paste this type of thing. And so we have that here. And so I'm just going to let it do its thing. So what's going to be interesting here is basically I have an idea for my prototype, which I've already blurted out. And I'm having Claude Opus, which is a language model, see if it can actually take a look at the documentation that, I only read the first part of the snippet, but I just want to see, if I was a smart PhD level person and a real, whatever, what would that look like? You know what I mean? What would an example prompt based off of my gobbledygook turn into, right? Because I feel like if we're able to optimize our prompt, it'll be fire right here. So it's already kind of coming up with something interesting here. So let's see what we're saying here. So this is based on the GPT-5 prompting guidelines. I'll help you optimize a prompt for building the app. So now it says AI image generation mobile app. Build a mobile first generation application using OpenAI GPT-1 with the focus on an intuitive UX and image consistency. And so notice how it did these tags, core requirements. So it says tech specs. So broke apart a tech. This is almost like a PRD, but this is like a GPT-5 version PRD. This is really interesting. So the platform is a mobile web optimized for iPhone viewport. The API is OpenAI input fidelity, always set to high. And so what else did it come up with here? Okay. Oh, and it broke apart its own little tags because of the different things here. So the development sequence is as follows: core, upload, visual design, edge cases. Oh, so these, I guess because Claude itself is using XML tags, it kind of broke within the web app, right? Because it broke out of its actual markdown formatting. And so this is really interesting, right? How it kind of broke down to the pattern here. And so the development sequence is here, edge cases, and then key optimizations made following GPT-5. So the structured XML tags is what it did. Remove ambiguities, and then eliminated contradictions. So clarified when prompts are optimal versus required. Ooh. added concrete implementation details with code examples. Okay, this is really cool. So let's take a look at some of these examples. Let's see. So the design philosophy. So this is the UI design details. Follow Apple's human interface guidelines for simplicity and intuitiveness, minimize settings and options. And so I kind of want to see if it can build the app in the canvas, right? I'm just curious. Let's see. Can we just, I want to just try this. This is really interesting. So let me just try. So if I go into here and I just go to like whatever, auto, I'm just going to paste this in. What does it say? So based on the guidelines, here's your prompt. Okay. So this is my prompt. This is my markdown. I'm just going to, do I have to give the markdown at the end? Okay. So this is, whoops, go to the bottom. I'm just really curious. I'm just YOLOing at this point because I like to play around with this type of stuff this way. So this is the entire prompt. Wow, this is cool. So I don't know how we can do it, but let's just see if we can do anything. Can we go to canvas? More canvas? Yeah, let's just see what it comes up with. I'm just really curious. Right? Thinking longer for better answer. Okay, so we're going to let it do its thing. And then that'll be that there. Let's go ahead and go to this prompting guide thing. So this is my original prompt. And then I'm going to go ahead and just paste this type of thing in here because this is what we're looking at. Oops. I'm just going to see if it kind of figures something out. So I'm going to say request changes optional. So optimize. I'm just going to say none. So extracting edits and improving structure. So scanning for contradictions and format issues. That's awesome. Resolving conflicts and fixing format gaps. Interesting. Checking assistant outputs for consistency. This must be using GPT-5 under the hood or something. Polishing for clarity, order and explicit details. Structuring sections, constraints, and clear steps. I mean, adding reasoning guidance for complex tasks. This is really interesting. Applying. Wow. Okay. Let's see. Wow. Okay. Look at that. Oh, I like how it's doing this type of thing. That's really nice. So I can save this too. Optimize for GPT-5. Wow. This is pretty clean. Platform.openai.com/chat/models. Let me put this in the chat. Y'all need to know about this. Okay. Cool. Yes. Okay. This is great. Hey, Ray, can we have a dedicated tips and tricks in Discord? Yes. Would be really helpful now that it's scattered like in different sections. I think that's a really good idea, Sauter. I'll get on that. I think that's a really good idea. I'm going to write that down real quick. Tips and tricks for Discord feedback. I try to write things down here. Tips and tricks. Discord. Awesome. Recently, an article, YouTube video about the paper regarding HRM hierarchical reasoning model, and it looks like GPT is using this already. Yes, I think Claude uses it as well, right? I mean, I think all the labs are. The efficiency and latency was the focus for OpenAI's for India, their biggest market. So hearing folks benefit from free is amazing. Yes. Did you try the Codex CLI? No. I just found that you can use it with a ChatGPT usage limit like Claude. That'll be a really fun one to try as well. Paper, old school wins. Yeah, right now I'm trying this paper thing, but the whole thing that I find a little bit challenging is just trying to organize all my thoughts. But one of my favorite things about paper is just doodling on it more than anything. So, I mean, just kind of break out a side note, just I know we're doing this stream, but like I have like a whole bunch of these types of things, and I've actually added these little like tags to them just so I can find them a little bit easier. So this is like my like little folder of like video ideas back here. And one of the things I find out is that like while I write everything down, it's really good to get it down, and I have so many ideas. It's just hard to go back and search for them. And then it becomes anxiety because now I have too many of them that I'm not getting done. So then I'm just trying to, yeah, whatever. It's like, I'll figure it out. I'm trying to figure this out, but yeah, there's something about paper that's really cool actually. Even though I wasn't like a paper guy. Yes, you can. Okay, cool. So in here, it says it kind of separated like the developer message for this role objective checklist. Begin with a concise checklist of 3 to 7 bullets. And then it has the instructions after upload, provide an interactive thumb friendly API tech details. Okay. This is, oh, interesting how it gives also stop conditions, by the way. So down below it says when task is complete and all the UI features are met. Let me see if I can kind of get this here. It says, oh, it doesn't, their UI is kind of bad. So it doesn't show me a little bit more, but the stop conditions are for when a task is considered complete, clarifying handoff criteria for both assistant and stakeholders and aligning with project given best practices. That's really interesting. So yeah, let's see what it's come up with here. So it's still writing the code for us. That's amazing. Wow. So an AI image mobile app, mobile first React TypeScript, single file prototype for iPhone sized, API notes. Your server will forward to OpenAI, input fidelity high. Bro, this is cooking right now in one app. This is wild. Wild. So let me try this. I want to try this same prompt in, actually, yeah, let me just copy it this way. I'm just going to give this to Opus too. Opus, Claude. And let's just see what happens. So Claude Opus, I have the extended thinking and I have web research. I'm just going to let it do its thing. So make the app. Let's go ahead and cook. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I'm just curious to see how it follows the instructions. And then we'll see what the difference is, right? I mean, all of this type of prompting technique is super important. And to me, just having it generate by hand is really interesting. So this is the prompt stuff that we got here. And now we're back to the prompting guide. Okay. So this is the criteria we're talking about earlier for context gathering. So like what specific context does it need to do to steer the model? If you're willing to be maximally prescriptive, you can set fixed tool call budgets. So this set it to very low. And then when limiting core context gather behavior, it's an example to explicitly provide the model with an escape hatch that makes it easier to satisfy a shorter context gathering step. So usually this one comes in the form of a clause that owns the model to proceed under the uncertainty, like even if it might not be fully correct in the example above. That's interesting. So you have to like really think through what that could be. Wow. Okay. Prompting for eagerness. On the other hand, if you like to encourage the model autonomy, which is kind of what I was thinking, right? Like if maybe there's certain tasks in like the medicine field where you have to be extremely prescriptive, because I've talked with doctors and they say like things have to follow a specific chain, and it's like a certain chain of reasoning that you always have to go down, and you shouldn't like let the model kind of decide that. And so a lot of times these people will try to code it into the, hard code it basically, because it's like an always thing, right? So I think this is kind of what's interesting about GPT-5 is it seems to offer both paths, right? So like over here in app making, maybe I'm not so descriptive, but I want the model to be more creative. And so it looks like there's something like that here. So let me see if I can kind of open this up a little bit bigger here so we can read this. So prompting for more eagerness. So on the other hand, if you like to encourage model autonomy, which is basically letting the model decide things, right? Increase tool calling persistence and reduce the occurrences of clarifying questions or otherwise handing back to the user, we recommend increasing reasoning effort. That's when we're talking about going to the high reasoning effort and using a prompt like the following to encourage persistence and thorough task completion. So the persistence is like, you are an agent, please keep going until the user's query is completely resolved before ending your turn and yielding back to the user. So I'll show you an example of this. So in ChatGPT, I was just doing this because I found out that like if you're reading the labels, those proteins, they'll say like you have 18 grams of protein, you have 30 grams of protein. Apparently that's a scam sometimes. There's a drink that they sell at Costco that says this drink is a sparkling water and has 30 grams of protein. And I learned this key word that I had no clue existed until I was watching this video on Instagram, and it's called PDCAAS. And so that's the amount of protein your body can digest. And this is actually like an actual regulated thing. So this is like a measurement that's done that I had no clue even existed. So in some labels, when you get like 22 grams of protein, you got to actually look at the daily value. So if the daily value says 0, basically whatever the grams of protein that are listed on you, it's not even digestible by you. So they can list the protein that's there, and just the PDCAAS score is what, amino acids and various things in your body will actually use to break down to convert that into, muscle or whatever you need to do. So if you're like weight training, you want to probably use whey protein, and every other types of protein has these different scores. And so this is like, got me thinking. I was like, wait, I just paid a whole bunch of money at Whole Foods because of this nice protein. It's called like Just Ingredients brand. And so I told the model to go basically look up some information, and it gave me back, like I'll show you the previous prompt. I just said, go ahead and like, have high quality. Does this basically protein brand have high quality protein? I see 22, these values. What does the PDCAAS score the protein? So it quickly got back and just gave me some information about what this specific score is and why. But it didn't really do like thorough research. And this is kind of what I was talking about. Like, while it gave me the information, lots of information about it, because it's kind of just repeating from an encyclopedia, it wasn't really relevant to what I was really trying to ask and what I really wanted. So in my second prompt here, I basically said, I need you to do some deep research and think hard to look up this info. And then this is what it did. Not only did it do that, but it made the calculation happen. Just in that one, just adding that extra word, thinking hard, and look up this info, right? So go back and basically, without me telling the model, right? I was just saying, go search and do these things. It did its own tool calling, and it thought for 1 minute and 55 seconds. And it basically did this calculation that I had no clue existed, which is saying, if you do this specific calculation, if you get 22 grams of protein and it has a 37% daily value on the actual food label, if you just rearrange it with this math, the protein powder you're consuming is actually only 18.5 grams, bro. I'm like, hold up. All of that whole thing to tell me that like that 22 grams of protein is actually not 22 grams of protein that I can actually digest. There's a difference between like the food labels. Like the food label tells you how much grams of protein. And while that's true, not all protein is the same type of protein, especially one that your body can break down and use. That's a scam. Like that is such a like, and that's why I'm going to turn this into an app, because people need to know the truth about like what's actually in their food. This is a scam. In my opinion, obviously, like, because you have to do math on these labels. I had no clue, right? So the ingredients and the claim of similar amounts. And so while they claim 22 grams of protein, what makes it like not a high quality protein apparently comes down to the actual protein itself. So the protein that's not digestible is like the pea protein. So the pea protein has a PDCAAS of 0. Pea protein, right? Or no, sorry, the collagen protein. So the collagen one is actually the one that lacks tryptophan. And because the collagen doesn't have tryptophan, it has a score of 0. So if you ever see like these protein powders that have these like multiple proteins in them, collagen, you're like, oh, collagen, that's what's in your skin. It's going to be good, right? If it's collagen protein, hey, that sounds amazingly healthy. Apparently that's 0. The score of 0 means that if you eat 30 grams of collagen protein with the score of 0, means you'll get 0 of that protein value in your body that goes to muscle building. That's a scam. To me, you're going to pay all that money to just, nah, fam, nah, we're not about that. So it looks like this company is doing is they're mixing that in with the whey protein to make it sound like it's just super earthy and delicious and everything like that. But what they're doing is they're getting 26% more for the money that you're paying. In essence, you're throwing 26% of your money away every time you eat this protein. You're not getting 22 grams of protein. You're getting 18.5 grams. I'm like, why did I have to tell a model to think for 2 minutes to come up with this calculation to finally tell me that like this is what's happening and that the food label is not showing it? And so the reason why I'm very passionate about it and why I'm really excited about this GPT-5 thing, kind of where tying it all back together, right, is the fact that we can do this type of intelligence now with GPT-5 by changing the reasoning effort, right? We can change it from low or medium to high. And that high reasoning made a bigger difference in my prompting because it did this calculation for me for free. I didn't tell it to go do this calculation. There was no instructions on calculation, right? The model was smart enough to do this tool calling within itself. So I can probably make an app here that can just take a picture of the food labels and tell you the actual real truth of how much protein you're really getting, right? Is this protein actually what it claims to be? You know, is this something that your body can really digest? So we can do this extra reasoning and tell you, no, this is the score for this protein. If you're paying $30, it's almost like you're paying $45 to eat this protein, the same amount of protein. At that point, I'm like, bro, I'm just going to go to a steakhouse and grab the same protein and I'll just be so satisfied. Right? Like, oh my God, I cannot tell you how, how crazy this is, right? So this is the difference between like having a prompt that says, do some deep research and think hard with the GPT-5. And that's the level of like prompting that you get from it versus if you go back, like the results are not going to give you the same calculation score like you were expecting and so forth. So like the precision may not be high. So like, yeah. So like if you want to need a breakdown, digestibility, calculate your own PDS or contact the company for details. So like, this is like without that prompt and it's even telling us like the model's not going to do the calculation. And that's just simply just changing a couple of words saying, I need you to look through, like that's all we changed. And like, look at the calculation that the model did for us, right? The intelligence is in this model, but we had to prompt that from the model, right? We had to tell it to get that high reasoning out. We had to tell it to like get everything out the bag, be very thorough, you know, like it figured itself out to do that. So man, that's super powerful. Did you guys get the platform prompting thing? I think y'all did as well. So that'd be interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, cool. I mean, how are y'all picking up with this? Have you all played with the GPT-5 like prompting model? Have you been prompting with it at all? What results have you seen? Has anything in here kind of like rung a bell and said like, aha, like I finally get it. This makes sense. This is why maybe the model's behaving the way it is. To me, I'm just seeing a lot of aha moments, especially just showing you that example with prompting for protein, like the same model, like just adding some extra words, telling it to think. It's a little bit differently. I don't know if you know this, but the model in ChatGPT, there are many models here on the platform.openai platform on that are available. So there is a model that doesn't do reasoning. It's called the GPT chat model. And so that's just going to give you straight up answers. And then there's the other models with like GPT-5, like medium, low, high. And like the high one is going to do that extra thinking and reasoning and so forth. And then the parameters that we can pass in are going to be that reasoning effort. And then we can then specify additional things in the actual instructions for, you know, how much detail do we want it to go through, right? So in my app, that's probably going to take a picture of a food label. I can use a model like Mistral. So Mistral is really good at taking an image, like parsing everything through it, especially like labels and stuff in like 100 different languages. It has like the highest rating. I can grab that info, pass that on to the GPT-5 model and say, hey, here's the information about this food label. I want you then to see if you can like, you know, maybe let's just see if we can prompt our way into it, like build the prompt ourselves, right? Let's do that. I want to do this because I want to build this app. I'm so pissed. I'm so pissed. Like this is going to be like Truth Torch 2.0. So if you aren't familiar with this, I have an app called Truth Torch, truthtorch.ai. And so this is kind of like, I built this because I wanted to see something on the market that would basically be able to take text. Because I have like a lot of trouble with reading and writing. One of my problems was the fact that like, it would just take me a really long time to digest like what somebody could take 5 to 10 minutes to read. That could take me like a whole hour or 2 hours to read, right? And I would have to reread it over and over again to really truly understand it. So if I get something like the New York Times, you know, like when they write stuff, they have this like long article like this. And basically what I do is just submit it to my app and Truth Torch will basically tell me exactly like what the summary of the article, which is not really that interesting. I'm more interested in the analysis. So it gives me the tone. It gives me like the emotional appeals. How are they writing this article and how are they appealing to people? They appeal to people with this article using fear. Oh my God, that's horrible. And they also use guilt, you know, and then are there any logical fallacies? Like what are they committing in this piece when they're writing? And so a lot of times when I read news articles, you can always get a sense of like, this feels off. Why are they targeting this person? Or why does it just feel like it's propaganda or something, right? So I was like, we need an app for this. And this is kind of what I built. And this has kind of helped me so much for understanding whether I should read something or not. And so I want to do the food version of this with that. I want to scan a label and I want to know how much real protein is in there because I'm not paying extra money to them just give me like fluff, right? Like this is exactly what I'm doing, but just for, instead of text, I'm now going to do it for food labels. And so you can see like the reasoning that they use, the cognitive bias, and like even the author has personal feelings that he's expressing here. That's cool. But this is the New York Times, right? They're supposed to be like the paper of record and they're supposed to like not have a lot of personal feelings or biases about certain things. And so it does make you think, right? Like people will just take this in without kind of questioning the things. And yeah, just for me to get that process down could take like a whole day just for like one article, right? So this saves me lots of time. And I think we can do that with AI for food labels. And so I want to see if I can build a mega prompt, kind of like the way I built this original mega prompt like 2 years ago using Markdown, but we're going to use it for the GPT-5 era. So this is going to be, I want this prompt in this type of fashion here. So I want to see if I can I duplicate this chat? That'd be so fire. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. So, because I want the reasoning traces for this. Okay. So maybe I'll just pop this into Claude and it can help me. Wait, did it build our app already? No way, bro. Let me refresh Claude, because if Claude built our app, I swear to God. Can I run the code? No way. Oh, sorry, I'm getting a little distracted here. This is so crazy. I don't even know what I'm doing. Wow, this is interesting. What? Talking to the model, 10% there? Oh my God. Bro, this is crazy. Wait, GPT-5 thinking made this? Retry. Make something delightful. Upload. Style intensity. Oh, this is kind of hot. Look at this. Oh. Oh my goodness. Wow. What did Claude do? Claude just said, nah, we chilling, fam. I don't know what I'm doing over here. Okay. What a difference the prompting makes for GPT-5. Wow, that's super impressive. Right? Like the prompting does matter, right? Oh, look into Diaz too for protein nerdery. Oh my God. Wow. ChatGPT is really good at prompting Gemini to write extensive research reports, better than Google Gemini Pro itself. Whoa, okay. Then do some deep research and think hard to look up. Change the model you are using. Without it, the chat model gets used, and that's the one that's actually pretty bad compared to the thinking models. That's correct, Beta. So they're doing that model routing underneath the hood. And if you're just like the first prompt I asked, it just sped a bunch of stuff like Wikipedia style. So the prompting does matter, and the thinking time does matter as well. As far as reasoning effort, I really don't know yet. So we're going to have to kind of play around with it. But for me, I'm more interested in, can I take this output that I got that's really interesting, that's actually extremely useful, and turn this into an actual full-fledged app, right? Because at the end of the day, I want basically, I don't know if you've seen that app called Cal AI. So Cal AI is supposed to take a picture of your food and tell you how many calories it is. But if you've ever used it, the accuracy is so far off. It's like, to me, extremely useless. And so I need something like this, right? This is actually very useful for my nutrition and fitness goals. I want to know, basically, am I overpaying for my protein or any type of ingredients, right? Like the fact that, I don't know if you've seen this pea protein. I'm going to show you how much this costs. You're going to flip a lid on the cost of this protein because of just like the vibes. Like this is like in California, you pay for vibes, and this is like such a vibe right now. So I'm obsessed with strawberries. I'm obsessed with strawberry cream. I'm obsessed with strawberry anything. And this protein powder costs like $35. And so the fact that I'm paying $35 and I'm not even getting $35, I'm getting 26% off, right? So I pay an extra, whatever, like 40 something dollars, right? Like, oh my gosh, like half of it is, oh my God, this is so crazy. So yeah, oh wow. Like I don't even, yeah, I pay like $40 for like not even this. You know what I mean? Like that's so crazy. I want to take a picture of this label. Can I give this to ChatGPT and just have it give me the whole rundown, right? Like that's what I want to do. I want to be able to scan this barcode or scan this nutrition label and have it do the calculation for us, because that would be so fire. It would just be like, no, this has a, this total score of this whole thing is 84. So you're only getting 84% of whatever you're buying, right? So like we can just go to like pea protein. Okay. So I'm going to see if I can ask the model to have me generate a prompt or something like that. Okay. So let me just go ahead and grab these prompting guidelines. Okay. So I'm going to grab these, right? Markdown. Is that cool? Like this prompting guide. See, I don't like the way that it's all commented out, but whatever. Like, we'll figure this out. I think it's going to be part of its structure. It's probably like this for a reason. Okay. So, okay. Oop. Okay. I love the structure and the research and everything that was involved to generate this output. I want to see if you can use the prompting guide below and help me generate a prompt that follows a prompting guide, because the user is just going to take a picture or give the food label information, just like the way I gave you in this prompt earlier. And we want it to output just the way that you gave me the output earlier, so that we can have an app that can give us this information on command. Maybe something like that. Okay. So this is a very vague prompt, but we're just going to cook with this, right? Just watch me cook. Watch me cook. All right, let's go. So hopefully it's perfect. Thanks for sharing that prompting guide. Bro, is it even thinking, bro? I don't think so. Is it? It's just, let's see. Do you want me to, okay. So perfect. Thanks for sharing the prompting guide. Here's a tailored system level prompt. So you're a nutrition analyst GPT, medium. No. Okay. I'm going to just re-prompt this one, because I think we just need to tell it to think harder for whatever reason, because I'm using auto. It's just, it totally fail-boated this. I may have to change this to pro, but maybe we'll see. Okay. Let's see. Edit. Here we go. Okay. So giving this command, let's see here. So that we can have an app that can give us this information on command. I need you to what's it? What was the word? I need you to do some deep. Okay. I'm just literally going to copy this and just add it to here. Okay. I need you to do some deep research and think hard, to look up this info to generate prompt. Okay. Let's see, fam. I'm really curious to see how it's going to do. Perfect. I don't know what's going on here, bro. I think it's just using the dumb model, but whatever. What I might do is just copy and paste some of this output and then give it to the pro and see what it does. And I'm also going to give it to Claude and see what it does do, because basically what we have here is a prompt, an example of output that we want. And now we can give that to a language model to help us generate it. And because it's just stuck at the regular GPT-5 routing model, yeah, it's possible that it's not even using the extended thinking, which is what I wanted it to do. And I want it to be very thorough, because there's a lot of instructions in here that I wanted to follow, and it's totally not following it. So, or it could be following it, but you see how sparse it is? It's not even that well detailed. Yeah, so this is pretty bad, actually. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just going to go do this. Let's go and cook, fam. So I'm going to say, I'm going to open up like a text. Actually, I'm going to go cursor. Where is the curse? Okay. So I'm going to open up a new text file, I guess you could say. And I'm going to work with this here. I'm going to get rid of this Command J, I think. And then this one is Command B. Okay. So we're going to work with this here. So I'm going to say hashtag user prompt. And I'm going to say response. And then, so basically I'm just generating this in Markdown. Thought for, okay, thinking. Just going to copy this. Let's see, user prompt, thinking. Response here. Okay, TLDR is this. Okay, copy. All right, so now we have this, and then user prompt is this, and then I want to do this. Okay, let's go. Wow. Dang, son. Dang, son. Okay, and then I'm gonna paste this in here. Whoop. Okay. So what do we have here? All right, let me kind of do this here. Okay. All right, so that way we're kind of seeing what we're cooking with. There's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of lines. Okay. Epic. These models should be able to handle it, so we should be rolling. All right, so now that we have those, right? Got a lot of stuff. User. I want to see if I can now open up a new ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, and go into here, and then I'm going to change from 5 to thinking. I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to do 5 to thinking, and then did I just do? Oh, of course I did auto. Yeah. Okay. So GPT-5 to thinking, and let's go back to cursor. I'm going to paste these in, and then I'm just let it do its thing. So it should have that context. And so it's going to think, and then I'm going to open up another one, ChatGPT, and I'm going to go to Pro because we're going to have research grade intelligence. I don't think it's going to make a difference, to be honest. And I'll let it do its thing. And then I'm going to do another one. Family, we're just going to go all out. I'm just curious to see. Oh, they don't have the GPT-3 Pro? Bruh. I forgot I had this camera down here, bruh. Yo, this camera is kind of fire right now. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, that's what we're working with. Okay. So let me go to Claudia. And let's just go to Opus. And we're going to go to, we have extended thinking, we have web research, we have all this. We're going to do this thing. And then I'm going to go to Claude again. We're just going to print money, hopefully. All right. So we're going to go to, I'm just going to see what Sonnet does too. I'm really curious. This is like a whole scientific method theory experiment. So we get all of our prompts and everything. We're going to see who's going to actually perform the best at giving us an updated prompt for what we want to do here. So I want to see what's happening. Okay, so GPT-5 Pro, we have the thinking still going. And basically what we want to go ahead and do is basically make a Truth Torch version for like Truth Torch AI / protein or something like that. Like I want to do this or Truth Torch AI / nutrition or something like that. Or, I don't know, something like food.truthtorch.ai, because I feel like this is such a scam. Like you can't be paying for like 22 grams, but only get like 18 out of it. That's such a wow. Okay. Dang. Go back. Wow. Okay. Go back. What happened? My app died. Okay. I'm going to close these ones too. Okay. What is going on? Okay. Let's go. 2 minutes later. Let's go. So the quality overall, quick answer, quality good, but not top tier. What's in it? Wait, hold on. What's it doing? It's probably just following the instructions of what to do next, not realizing that we had an attachment. So I think what I might do is bust out repo prompt, because this is like the whole meta tag thing. And this is what we need to do. We're basically doing some prompt authoring. And I think that's what needs to happen here. And what I need to do is kind of get this all set up into that type of thing. Oh, sorry. I think you just needed to output the prompt in the markdown. So that way, when users give it the nutrition information, it should be able to generate a score or something like that output. Okay. I'll let it do its thing. So yeah. Okay. Let's see what's happening. I bet you this is going to fail with the same type of thing. Yeah. And then Claude is like, Claude. God dang. Claude is a baddie right now. Claude, God. Oh my goodness. Oh. Wow. Sheesh. Let's go see what Sonnet did. Sonnet. Core mission. Perform deep research. Agent behavior instructions, persistence. We have methodology, mathematical accuracy. This is really good too. This is really, really good. Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. Look at this quality assurance verification check before finalizing the response. So this is something that we learned when we were like reading through that documentation, which is super important, especially since we're dealing with something here that involves calories and it's like actual verifying results. It says there's a checklist. So like it specifically has a header of quality assurance before finalizing response, the PDCAAS calculation shown with clear mathematical work. All protein sources in the product identified in research, claims supported by cited authoritative sources, practical recommendations provided for different use cases, comparison with other model proteins. Bro, this is crazy. So I want to pop this into the prompt thing and see if we can get this working. So copy, let me just go back to cursor. Let me go ahead and open a new text file. And let me just paste this in so we can kind of see what we're cooking with here. Oh my goodness, I think we got an app. So this is how if you don't know, this is actually how I actually make my prompts. So if you're wondering, like, I have a whole GitHub resource with my prompts, and I literally will take outputs I like this, throw them into the language model. Claude Sonnet has been the most consistent overall, and Claude Opus, to generate new markdown prompts like this. So now I no longer say markdown. I just give it the ChatGPT-5 guidelines, and it's cooking. I can't wait to see what the output's going to be for this type of thing. I'm just so hyped at this. This is like absolutely bonkers. So yeah, let's see what's going on. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's see. So what we have here is a persistence. You are an agent. Keep the researching until the protein quality analysis is completely resolved before ending your turn. Oh, this is so good. Only terminate when you provided a comprehensive assessment, calculated PDCAAS, quality rating, and clear recommendations. Never stop at uncertainty. If GPT-5 can cook, we have probably my first 100K app. Oh, do not ask for clarifications on the standard nutrition analysis. Proceed with the most scientifically reasonable interpretation. So I don't know if you know about this, but these models all scored really high, typically on like math and PhD and all these types of things. Everyone's bragging about this. And this is, I think, our shot to make something that's actually going to be useful for humanity. And like at the same time, like cut through all the nonsense that are in these food labels. Like I'm totally all about this right now. Oh my goodness. This is fire right now. This is so fire. Okay. Research methodology. Let's just throw this into our platform. Platform.openai. Let's cook. Okay. Docs. So let me go ahead and log in for y'all. Are you guys hyped about this? I'm so hyped right now. This is crazy because I don't know if you know about this, but this is actually how you make apps like really good. So, prompting is a new, like basically the new fire. It's a new way to code. You have to take the documentation and understand, like these people like put it all out there. The Cursor team, the folks at OpenAI, they just said, yo, we got the cookbook right here. If you want to like be pro level, like the way Cursor is going from 0 to 100 mil ARR in 24 months, and then in 6 months later, they double that again. They drop some sauce in there that's worth millions of dollars. And we are going to cook with that right now. Oh, I'm so hyped. Let's go. I know I hype myself up, but I think it's worth it though. I think it's worth it. Drop the thumbs up if y'all feeling this right now. I'm trying to log into my platform right now. Let's just see what's up. This is crazy. I love doing this stuff. This is what being an engineer is all about. Like if you're curious, you got to play with these things. This is how you do the things. Okay, so let's go to the dashboard. What am I doing? Okay, so I have a chat, but can we play around with the new responses API? Is this how we're going to do it here? Because this is kind of what we were trying to figure out, right? Chat prompts, assistants. We're trying to figure out how we can do. I think it's just chat, right? So can I say generate, create? Okay. So if I select GPT-5, I can select the different models. So I can say, oh my God, so many models. I got models and models and models. Okay, so the fastest with configurable. Okay, so we select this one. If we select the developer message, which we'll do here, paste. So that's the entire developer message, right? Which is then prompt. And so this is the protein analysis thing. Okay. And so if we go to format, text, message, medium. So let's go to these parameters and see what we can message with. So we want a format of text, but we can probably change it to JSON object or JSON schema, depending on what we get for the output. So that'll be a later problem when we start playing around with the AI SDK from Vercel, because this is what we want to do is like generate the objects and then lay them into the UI. So that way they'll slide into the UI and it'll just be gorgeous. But that's a later problem. We just want the text. We want to see if this works. So the verbosity, I think we're going to do, let's just play with high, right? And then the summary can just be auto. Store logs, sure. Okay. So now that we have these instructions, what I want to do is give it the actual name of the protein powder, right? So is like, what is the, let me just give it this. Okay, let me just give it this here and go to the user and go paste. And it's going to go hit save, right? Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and maybe run it. So we'll see what the model is going to return for us. I'm just really curious to see what the assistant's thinking. So now it says calculating the PDCAAS, analyzing just ingredients protein powder, evaluating for protein blends, inferring collagen content from protein powder. So it's trying to think about it. And so I don't know if it has access to the internet because I'm not really familiar with this model, because I think it does, but I'm not really sure. Reasoning. Or maybe that's something I can add as a tool call. So it seems plausible the whey protein concentrate here. Okay, tools. So we'll see. I'm just doing a straight up first run, and we're gonna see what we get as far as results, and then kind of take it from there, because that'd be really interesting. So yeah. Wow. This is really crazy. So let me catch up on the comments while this is going. So look at the calculation. Whoa. Oh my. I feel like a wizard right now. You know what I mean? I didn't do anything. I'm just telling it. AI talking to the AI, and the AIs are talking to each other, and they're just like, and like, here you go. This is what it feels like right now. So the price is not provided, so value cannot be assessed here. If price similarity pure to isolates, note that you're getting slightly lower protein quality per scoop, PDCAAS of 84 or whatever. If substantially cheaper, the value may be still reasonable for general use. So practical recommendations, best for daily general protein supplementation were clean. Individuals may want some collagen in their diet while still getting a meaningful amount of high quality protein. The implied is derived directly from the label figures you provided using the FDA equation. The ingredient list confirms additional incomplete proteins, commonly collagen peptides. That would explain the reduced daily value versus pure whey. And then like, wow, look at all this information. It's just spat out at me. This is, and then, okay. So this is where it tells us it's thinking. Dang, inferring collagen content in protein powder. So assessing protein quality composition, reducing digestibility. Oh, so it's going to estimate the leucine and the digestibility just from those, like the couple of stats that I gave it. So this is sort of promising, because if you take a picture of a food label and you're able to take those pieces out from an image model, the GPT-5 can also accept images. So it'd be interesting if I just give it that image from Amazon and see what it pulls out from it, right? That's going to be like maybe our next test, to see, can I, without little information, just give it the image and see what it says, right? So that's going to be our next test. So we go back. This is interesting about TLDR. Quality good. The score is this. The key finding is this. And the bottom line is this. So I can tell it in the instructions to generate like a JSON of the most important things. So that way we update the user visually when we get those values. And when those values appear, that's what the user will see. So we'll have some specific types of formats or something that we can do to make the UI very interesting. We could probably prototype that in V0 or something like that to get this working. So this is interesting. So this is the label analysis just based off of the information I gave it. and the protein source breakdown. Wow. Okay. So let's go back. So with this is kind of like why it's really fun to test on platform.openai, because this type of thing is really easy to kind of experiment with. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete this user message. I'm going to add some messages to the prompt. So I'm going to go ahead and that's a response that we don't want anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and, is there a way to start a new chat? Okay. So we're starting a new chat now. And so since these are the instructions that the user has, can I add tools? Oh, we can do web search. Oh, wow. So we can provide the user's location. Oh my God, this is crazy. So the search context size could be medium. Let's go ahead and add that. So this is interesting, right? So we were able to get this information solely just by like utilizing what's already built into the model. So the model is very intelligent. It knows about the FDA. It knows about this calculation. It knows a lot about this specific medical type of thing. So just from the small pieces of information it was able to gather, it was able to kind of get that for us. But imagine getting like a food label or only passing in minimal results. If we give something like the web tool calling, let's see what the results are. Is it going to be more thorough? Is it going to look up additional ingredients? I'm just really curious to see what it's going to do. And then we need to probably pass that back into Claude Opus and say, hey, if there is a web tool calling type of thing, how would we update our system prompt now that it has access to a tool called Look Web, right? And so I'm just really curious. This is just straight up adding it in. There's no other variables to add. Like we can add city, we can add whatever. So that can also give some type of context here too, right? So if you're in Europe, it could be a little bit different, which can make the model behave differently. Wow. Okay. So let's just go ahead and do this. And then I'm just going to pass in that same information again. So I'm just going to say this and send it. Wow. This is really fun. This is really, really fun. Yeah. I'm learning a lot about how the model kind of works here. So this is really cool. And so the parameters that we're using, by the way, is I think is it effort. Yeah. Effort, medium, and then verbosity is high. So we can change the effort to high on the next one and see if there is a difference. Because with medium, we're getting the results that we want. It could just be that simple. We could even try low and see if that even gives it the same, which could be faster for us too. So just because high is there doesn't mean we have to do that. Can you link the manual? Oh, yeah, for sure. Let me go ahead and do that. So the one that we're talking about, I think is this cookbook.openai.com. So let me just go ahead and add this here. So in the chat for yourself, oh, it doesn't do it on X. Dang it. Okay. Thank you so much. You found it. Yeah. So if you just type in cookbook, OpenAI GPT-5 Prompting Guide, you'll be able to find it. Pikachu. It's so funny. It's such a great name. But if you're on X, you can just pop over to the YouTube and you should be able to grab it there. So yeah. Joe, what's going on, man? Thank you so much for joining, man. Nestle or General Mills, buy the app and kill it. I don't know, man. I feel like even if it makes like $2 a month, and it helps someone, I'd rather just have it out there for like the sheer truth, right? I think people deserve, and this is kind of why I'm so excited about AI, because this is our moment, right? That it's going to be able to help a lot of people for like specific use cases. I just learned about this whole concept of this protein today from Instagram, right? I was like, wait, how do you even derive this calculation? And then it's like, what, you have to do this crazy math on a food label? The food label should have it right there, but it doesn't, for obvious reasons that I'm not going to speak about because I don't want to just end up missing. But I'm just saying, this is going to be much more accurate, and we can use the capabilities of GPT-5 to reason and do this for us, which I find really interesting, because now that, I mean, we're getting the model superpowers and the tool calling that we just went over earlier. And man, this is really interesting. So now it's searching the web. So we, in our actual prompt, we give it web search for GPT-5. This is so cool. This is super duper cool. I can't believe the models have this capability built in from the box, and I don't have to like write the code for this. All I have to do is call the model with these parameters, and then we have that system prompt already baked in, and then we just get the response back. So then the next step here will just be dealing on what's the formatting, what's the UI going to be look like, what's the user experience. But like, as long as I have this raw, reasonable data, I could just throw up a really basic site and just say, give me your picture, and then I'll show you if this is like truthful or not, right? Like, are you basically overpaying or not for this type of thing? This is bonkers. So yeah, it's doing its whole reasoning thing. I'm really excited to see what this is. There's no reason to well, obesity is actually like a real like disease and stuff. And I say this because my brother is actually, was 500 pounds. He's already lost 50 pounds. So he's under the 500-pound mark. So this is like something that's really serious and kind of near to my heart as well. He's only 11 months different from me, and like he looks very different. And I want to make these tools so it can actually help him too, right? Not only is it helping me, but it's helping us like inform our whole buying decisions. So like the types of food that we need and so forth. And once you have these types of, conditions, they all stack up, there is still hope, right? For him to continue to live a really good life, to eventually go back down where he looks, just like me or even more handsome than me, like he could just be amazing. And like the story is just going to be incredible, because in the age of AI, these types of tools are actually going to change people's lives. And I'm super excited, especially about the democratization of information and education, right? So once you have that information and trying to act on it, the whole reason why, like you look at a nutrition label and it's confusing, it's almost engineered that way. Like it's way overwhelming when you just need to take the first step, which is like, is this food actually going to do any good for me, right? Like you can buy food on the counter and apparently it's not even good for you, even though the nutrition label says it has what you should be. I make my decision for protein based off how much protein is in there, right? If I need to take in like 200 grams of protein a day, I'm looking at the protein number. I'm not looking at anything else. I'm not doing any other calculations. Now I have a reason to do some additional math, which I don't want to do all the time, right? I have an app for that now, right? Scan all these items. It's going to tell you how much protein you're actually consuming that's going to be used for, your weight training or your nutritional goals, right? He could be eating all this protein and is not even getting full because it's actually not even being useful for his body. That's crazy, right? That's absolutely crazy that we're in this type of state, but I want to change that. And I'm using AI to do that. And, I'm really excited. This is a really good time to be excited about these types of things, So AI diet plans. I mean, hopefully they'll get more accurate now. That's what I'm saying. So there's a Netflix series on The Biggest Loser. Highly recommend not watching that one. Yeah. What's the best way to host an app? Like you said, even if 2 people use it, the benefit's fantastic. But I don't want to get killed in the costs unless it scales. Tyler, I always suggest charging for your apps. I hosted that free app Truth Torch, and luckily it didn't really cost me that much, or it didn't go viral because that would have just been a huge bill. But upfront, you may want to charge for your apps. Like one of the apps I made is called Ray Transcribes. And so right out the get-go, instead of having a free plan, I just said, if the pain point is high enough and people will pay, that's the validation. Otherwise, I need to figure out what's the actual real validation for the app that I'm building. And so if I made this free, and I did actually for a small period of time, I lost a lot of money. You don't want to lose hundreds of dollars by making it free. I had like 100,000 people like stop by and transcribe a whole bunch of stuff. And I was like, well, okay, this is number 1, the app is really fast. Number 2, it provides a lot of value. And 3, I should start charging for it. That was kind of my thing. And I don't want you to repeat that same type of thing. Where I would host it would just be on Vercel. I love Vercel, and it's super easy developer experience. And like, it's super easy to scale up if you need to, but you can also set budgets for things. And if you don't have any app experience, I would definitely recommend trying to look some of that up. Work with other app developers instead of like YOLO launching and saying, whatever. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to app development, by the way. Great answer to what could have been interpreted as some kind of mean comments. Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like, I feel like everyone has good intentions. And if you're not about the good intention energy, like you probably should be leaving anyways. This stream is not for you. Everyone in here, like this family, this community is really cool. Like people who show up here on my streams are amazing. Amazing people, amazing human beings. I think a lot of people are tired of watching hypey videos and they want something real. They want to like build with AI. And if you're trying to build with AI, like definitely join the Discord. You better join the Discord before the price doubles. So rfer.me/Discord. I'm going to pop that in the chat. And that's basically my way of joining the Discord. That actually helps support the channel because there's a bunch of really good builders who are out there. So yeah, just go ahead and type that in or click the link. I think it's HTTPS. Yeah, let me put that HTTPS up in here. And so like I'm actually now doing this through Polar, which is really awesome. So this basically, I used to do everything by hand, was onboarding. And so we've already reached our first 100 member threshold, which is super awesome. And so I promised I would double the price. And here we are, $14.99 to join the community. And we have a bunch of great folks in there who are, trying to cook with us. And this is kind of what we do, just cooking here. Maybe I set my parameters too damn high. Look at this, 6 minutes and 15 seconds. But look at all this web research we did. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But look at this. I love that the agent did this, but it's too much, right? It's too much for the answer that we need. We need a faster answer, but this is why we're testing. This is why we're testing all of these things right now. And this is how we do it. This is the way I'm doing it, right? I'm just showing you live how I build an app. Like if you're just playing around with this. Wow. This is crazy. That's a lot of research it did for us. Like, look how little code I had to write. Nothing, right? All we just did was put the prompt in, and then we added the research tool, which is the web search. And then it did this thinking for us. And here's the analysis, right? So it did its calculation and even references FDA.gov for this type of calculation. It already knew that in its training set, by the way. So that's just FYI. That's why you want to try these different invocations. The protein source breakdown. So it actually looked up the whey grass-fed PDCAAS value on Wikipedia. You can say specific sources too, right? Pea protein, pumpkin seed protein. So I didn't know pumpkin seed protein is roughly in the 0.2 range. It's basically almost 0 for protein. Chia seed protein, depending on the processing, generally lower than dairy and soy. Rely on the blend's label percentage daily value than a single fixed value. Collagen is 0 because it lacks tryptophan. It's an incomplete protein. So ingredients for this flavor: whey protein, strawberry, milk. So it was able to look up this protein, this actual specific brand of the protein powder by using a web search. That's how it's able to grab the full ingredients, because I didn't give it the full ingredients in my prompt. That is interesting. This is from Just Ingredients. And it does the mathematical work. It let it cook. Okay. And then the confidence. Oh, interesting. So this is protein quality assessment. This is very deep research. Holy smokes. Resource validation, practical recommendations. Wow. So it still got to the same value, 0.84. So but it has all this research that's backed behind it. So considering that, we could even change the reasoning effort to maybe low, and then the verbosity to low as well. And I'm just really curious to see what will happen. I'm going to go ahead and save this type of thing. New prompt. Okay. Maybe I'll just I'll clear this out. That was epic. That was so epic. Can I just new chat? Okay. So we're going to do new chat, GPT-5. We're going to text still. We're going to do reasoning effort low, verbosity low, and then the tool choice would be auto. Yeah. And then we're just going to go ahead and keep the web research. I'm really curious to see what is going to come about when I give it the same prompt here. And let's cook, fam. Let's cook. Yo, are we cooking? All right, cool. It's super fast. I like the speed already with what we're doing here. Do reasoning effort low and verbosity low. It's totally enough for this task. Yep, the thinking model with effort low is actually still a lot better than the dumb GPT fetch. Facts. I think we're going to see that better for sure. That PhD level research. So true. Yeah. There's an error with his method. You can combine the two plant-based incomplete proteins to complete a complete protein. Peanut butter sandwiches are an example of this. Daniel Green spitting some game. Please tell me more about this. So the method that it's using is just solely based off of it's not considering the completeness of it. So maybe we can kind of see if we can get some improvements on that. So I'm going to see, can I just copy the text? I'm going to put this into our food labeling prompt here, because I think we just went with this one, right? Or this one. Let me just take a look. Protein quality analysis agent, protein quality. So we went with the Sonnet one. And let me go back to the Sonnet one and just give it this feedback, because this is really interesting, right? This is Daniel Green. So let me just go ahead and see what it says. And I'm really curious to see how it's going to improve our system prompt and see if it actually makes a difference in terms of what the score could be, because that could be really interesting. Let's just see. This is why I like prompting. This is so fun. I love to learn with everyone here. Yeah, great point. Yes. So good. Could you determine the priority settings for what to use? Yeah. It's like vitamin D and calcium. Man. Oh, look at this, how it's changing the prompt right now. Oh, wow. I incorrectly calculated the just ingredients blend by essentially averaging the individual PDCAAS scores, when in reality, pea protein limiting amino acids of methionine, chia seeds, different amino acid profile, whey complete, could result in a complete protein blend with potentially higher PDCAAS than I calculated. So the 30%, 7% might reflect other factors, processing, bioavailability, rather than incomplete amino acids. Okay, so then like that was probably the fallacy here, is the fact that we maybe assume that the percentage daily value combined with that stuff is like telling the whole picture, and the rest of the research was just trying to justify it, right? All the way around. Huh. Wow. Wow. Dang, look at these, like for image input processing, extract all visible information. That is cool. Note serving size, protein content, identify. So if I give this prompt and I went to ChatGPT-5 and then I upload an image, it's going to use these input processing instructions in it. Bro, I don't know what Opus is on or Sonnet is on. Let's go. Let me copy this and put it into Cursor so I can just kind of visualize this. This is like file, new text file. Put this in here. The curse. Let's go. Okay. Wow. TLDR. Okay. So required output structure, TLDR, quality, PDCAAS score, key finding, and then bottom line. And then like, so we can rearrange this, right? If we wanted different information, this is what we would want for our output. This is the calculation methodology. So it's going to take the protein content, the daily value, and the implied, showing the calculation, and then the protein source breakdown, and the complementary analysis, whether complement. So it's now going to do the secondary step, which is assess whether protein sources complement each other's own amino acid profiles. And the mathematical work is going to show the detailed calculations accounting for complementary effects, not simple averaging. Whoa. Why are you using Sonnet? Because it's kind of fast right now. And that's the first model we did. Like we did the first prompt, and then so we're going to do the second prompt. And I already have Opus, by the way. I just chose that because it was the fastest and it got it done pretty fast and it looked pretty good. I just thought, let's go with this, right? Here's a quality assessment and here's the practical recommendations. So here's the protein expertise guidelines, right? So it says the knowledge base is kind of this. This is the knowledge base that the language model already has for these specific. This must be like a known knowledge base. That's interesting. So if I wanted to, I could just say do web research and grab these knowledge base, but this is already in there. Interesting. Crucial protein complementary. So these are like already from the model giving us that information, and the calculation precision. When calculating for PDCAAS blends, first assess complementary, then the blends, then non-complementary blends. So weigh by proportion and note limiting factors. Then use the DV back calculation as a cross-check, but recognize it may reflect other factors beyond amino acids. Wow, this is so good. This is really good. I like where this model is going. You know what I mean? This is wild. 2 calculation guidelines. This is amazing. I'm gonna copy, paste this whole thing, go back to the chat GPTs, go up in here. Wow. I'm gonna save this and then cooking Sonnet for part 1. All right. Oh, published? Where am I publishing it to? The prompt was published below. Copy the snippet for quick integration. Oh, check this out. I don't know if you know this, by the way. So this is a new feature with OpenAI. If you want to put your system prompt in your app, I don't know if you know this, but people can take it out of your app and basically, you reuse the prompt. But there's this new thing called a prompt ID. So this is tied to your own OpenAI account. So when people are hitting your specific key, you can just give it this ID in this version. And basically what's going to happen is it's going to use the system prompt information here. So that way, if you want to change it on the server, like here, we can just give it, the specific, this prompt ID. Like we can just say, hey, I don't need this chat to be in my history. I'm just going to go ahead and clear these values here because I don't need these. And I'm just going to go ahead and update here. So we're going to update version 1 to the new version, and we're going to set as a default version. I'm going to go ahead and publish it. So that ID stays the same. And so as we tweak our system prompts, we can just push a change called version 2 down to the prompt. So the prompt ID, I think the prompt ID still stays the same. And then that way, like, you're not having to push changes to your code, push changes to your backend, invalidate caches, do everything you need to do to make sure that the person is using the latest system prompt. Ideally, you would have the prompt sitting on the server. So in essence, instead of sitting on your server, now it's actually sitting on OpenAI's endpoint. So your app is going to hit that endpoint at that exact time. Now, whatever is published is going to feed down that response. So that way you don't have to like remake all of these like system prompts and publish them and push the code out and do all this crazy loop. You can just kind of keep it on the back end, which I find really interesting. This is really cool. I totally forgot all about this, that this was a feature. So this is really interesting. So yeah, so you can do these prompts here and we can have these different versions. You can kind of see the different versions, version 1, version 2. Wow, that's cool. Okay. So, and then we can say, let's go ahead and do a new prompt and we're just going to give it the new developer message. So the developer message that we're getting it from is this information for the clarity that there's an error in the method about combining the two plant-based things. And so we're going to copy this one and we're now going to start a new prompt. We're going to see this is our developer message. And I don't think I need to give it tool calling, to be honest, but like I'm going to do it without that. And then in the parameters, we're going to set from medium to minimal. Ooh, I don't remember this. Low? Let's do medium. Let's do low. Low. Okay. Let's do the low rider effect. Okay, low. Let's go with the low. Okay. Let's give it the web search. America. Add context size low. I don't think I need a web search tool. Yeah, I'll do web search tool because it needs to look up to see if there's certain ingredients that like aren't listed or if it knows the label or something like that, right? So yeah, country, America, add. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so we have low, this. Okay. So now we're going to go back and the user is just going to say the same thing. And we should have, I'm curious to see what the updated score is going to be now if we do the same thing. Right? Like, I'm just curious. Chat, let's go. The ability to use the prompt ID is amazing. It takes effort away from a dev team and gives the content team, not devs, the ability to be impactful. Yeah. And then you do your evals and all the other stuff that you need to do to make sure that, you know, you're not breaking anything. But I mean, this is working for like marketing. If you have like a lot of different tools that you're maybe updating at the same time, prompt ID is really, really nice. It's much cleaner actually. It's easier to update your code too. The open source software is impressive. Reasoning and how to tune it to your content. A DIY for starting your own AI company. Yeah. Prompt engineering is very intense, bro. We're just scratching the surface, right? Oh my God. There's a formula, but the YouTube chat input character limit is too low. Oh, I'll have to look up that formula. Okay. Give 3 best techniques to calculate bioavailability of foods from their ingredients list and other known information about consumer GFODS nutritional supplements. Oh, interesting. I tried the recent. Okay. Got it. Have you ever tried? Yes. I love Repo Prompt. Actually, I use that. I mean, I've had Eric on the show. I've interviewed him. Actually, if you go to his website, repoprompt.com, I'm like probably one of the featured interviews there. And so for this type of thing, I just wanted to be as like, if our technique for getting the prompts over that I was using with Sonnet didn't really work, like if we didn't get any reasonable output, the next step was to use Repo Prompt. And it would just basically add those brackets that I was telling you, those XML differentiations. And then we would add additional prompts saying you are a prompt authoring person. Claude Sonnet is such a big model that it's, and Claude Opus 4 are really good models. And so they're able to take those instructions, kind of really run with it. And so that's kind of why, you know, I was like, let's just see how far I get. And if need to, I'll pull out the bazooka. But yeah, it's really cool. Prompting is great because it gets people to think a bit, which isn't a bad thing. Exactly. And you have to test your ideas and theories and throw all kinds of data at it to see what comes about, right? GPT-5 mini thinking is like this, and web research tool calling, and may be able to do the task as well as normal GPT-5, but much faster. This is a really good idea. Oh, food. Okay. So here we are. This is what it thought for 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Good, mostly whey, but diluted. It still has the same score. And then bottom line, solid everyday protein. Okay. And then this is the analysis, right? And then this is the actual calculation. I think you're talking about, this is probably from, and yeah, would love to know if that's the actual real calculation that you're talking about earlier here. And the protein source breakdown, the collagen, pea protein, interesting. Chia seed, no reliable PDCAAS declared by marker, interesting. Whey protein complete can cover collagen's missing and peas sulfur shortfall. However, it's weighed by proportions. So adding collagen near zero quality drags the blends below 1. Yeah, that's what it said earlier. The mathematical work is here. Wow. You need to assume a team of a medical PhD specialist. Overthink should be a keyword too. Bro, I mean, that's what's weird. So how do you, like, I'm not a PhD level person. I'm not a fitness bro. I'm not a fitness influencer. I'm just, I guess you could say I'm a tech influencer now, because whatever I say, people actually do. I'm actually very surprised. Yeah. And when I'm trying to make this app, because I'm so serious and so passionate about this, after learning this information, I'm like, how is this not an app already that's actually that reliable? And the intelligence is here. Now I need to know how to actually get something meaningful out of it, right? Like, I don't even know that. I'm learning, and that's kind of what's nice. Like, I want to build with you and you're building with me. The fact that you're here on the stream is so fire right now. I just love this whole energy right now of us being here together. So yeah, API for overthink. Yeah, the formula in ChatGPT is the link I shared, but it may not. Oh my, yeah, because links are currently disabled. Daniel, are you on the Discord? Let me know. It'd be really cool. Hey, Zenny Serious, how's it going, man? Oh, overthink. Yeah, FDA erased place. Open up. Oh, bro, I'm not gonna open that door, bro. I've seen this movie too many times, bro. Yeah. Okay, here's the verification. Practical recommendations. Best for smoothies. Snacks where clean label ingredients matter with good quality protein. Consider alternatives you want maximum muscle building. Okay. That makes sense. Choose a pure whey isolate. Okay. Yeah. This is cool. I think I'll only need web research if I don't have any information about the label. But the next thing I want to do is try to see if I can just give it that label from the Amazon link, right? So if I go here, if I just can extract this image out somewhere, open image, new tab. Yeah. So I'm going to save this to downloads. And then I'm just going to see if I can give this a ChatGPT and just say cook, right? So the user will probably upload an image, and I'll just drag that in here. All right. And I'm just going to go ahead and submit it, right? So if I hit submit, let's see. Right? Does the GPT-5 model with the image extraction, can it pull, is this this is like a pro photography. It should be able to read all this stuff in the label. See how it's kind of off to the side? That's how people take pictures, but this is really good lighting. Like, this lighting is like the best. I'm just curious to see how the model is going to respond for us to try to extract the information, right? Because the instructions for extracting the information is technically are here, right? And if this does work, I think the sources, yeah, so it's going. Awesome. Search the web. Perfect. Wow. Searching for PDS of Chia. Whoa. Okay. So it's actually really searching. Dang. This is really fun. Dang. I can't believe that we basically have a full-blown app just from ChatGPT now. I don't know if you realize this, the way they used to do this maybe 1.5 to 2 years ago, you'd have to build all this infrastructure yourself. Somewhere to host the image, a model that's going to take all the information from the image. Once you get all that text, sending it off to web agent to go do some processing, pull all that information. You have to literally build this massive pipeline. And here we are just in ChatGPT, and it's already here you go. System prompts here. It's clean. Now we're done. It's not that we're done, but we're pretty damn close. I think this right here is really, really interesting. So wow, this is really, really cool. What would you build? I'm just curious to hear, well, like, what are you thinking about building now that you're kind of seeing some of this magic? Like, we're building this live. Like, I'm building this app. Nothing's gonna stop me. I need this app in my life, and this is gonna happen, even if it's a really bad, rough draft. We are cooking, fam. We are so cooking on this. This is beautiful. I love this. Yeah, the next thing would be see if I can grab an AI SDK sample, and just start like literally just hooking this up together, because this is basically the app right here. This is so good. All right, so what does it say? Quality good. See, the score came back a little bit different, right? It was 0.84. And it did pick up is it 39? Let's see. 37. See, it's 37, but it thinks it's 39 because the image is so bad. And that's actually what happens. The label kind of gets bent to the side. So I think what we have to do is sometimes there's no brand information here at all. Oh, it does say just ingredients, but it's so hard to know what the brand is. And it can get it confused. Is it within reason? Yeah. I mean, it's not super far off. Wow. Interesting. I love seeing people becoming more curious about things they normally would never have considered learning. For sure. Just DM the link on X. Oh, thank you. Yeah. I created a tool for regular chat completions API by using the responses API search tools. LOL, it might sound strange, but I did not have to rewrite my app. All the models just could use it. That's fire. Yo, I have to check that out on the Discord. Oh man, protein source, whey protein. Okay. This looks amazing. Mathematical work. Here we go. So let me go ahead and see if I can check my friend's prompt here as well and see what he's cooking with, because I should have that link here on X. I'm going to go ahead and check that on the side while we're kind of looking through this here. So the mathematical work is there. And then we have Daniel Green's protein formula. There's like a whole ChatGPT thing. Okay. So, what did we do here? There's like a meta prompt writer. Oh, Daniel, did you just give me a virus, bro? No, I don't see here we go. Here are way too many AI launches and tools, 3 components. Okay. If you had the formula up here, is it just protein formula, shared conversation? I think this is the conversation here. So build a ready to use Google Sheet, staple food powders, run the DS calculations, design for 1 week, create a snack list pair, open in browser. Okay. Is this like a GPT you're talking about? Oh, wow. This is cool. Let's see if I can kind of cook with this. Calculate protein bioavailability and account for complementary protein sources for incomplete proteins. Oh, I can plan with high accuracy using the standard references. Oh, look at this. Quick outcomes you can use today. Oh, 2 metrics you will see. Let's go. Oh, look at this. This is great research. Dang, Daniel. Click continue and it shows the whole thing. Oh my gosh, this is fire. Wow. Okay, so work today using your pantry. So you mentioned whey and casein style protein powder. Hopefully you don't mind me reading this out loud, bro. Totally just putting you on the spot. I love this community. It's so good. For oats, 60 grams dry. So you get 10 grams of protein in the soy isolate. Effective protein is this. Total protein is 23 grams. Completeness is this. Lunch is a lentil bowl, 30 grams. 10 grams for rice. Dang. Bro, this is so good. Spreadsheet ready workflow. Bro, this is alpha. Bro, you just gave me like $1 million plan. Oh my gosh, bro. This is crazy. Wow. Okay, I like this so much. Cutting edge science right there. For sure. Yeah, that's basically your custom instructions. Okay, dude. Daniel, you are the real MVP of the chat, bro. I need to get you on the Discord. I'll give you like a free month. I'll send you a DM for a coupon code so you can get into the Discord for a month just for sharing that for the stream. I think that's super amazing because like, this is the type of community building I like. Like, I'm showing up here just to like literally read what was going on with, for those who don't know, we started off with the GPT-5 prompting guide. And this is kind of where we're ending up. It's like, I have to learn by doing. And if you don't know a little bit of my story, is I used to work at Apple as an engineer for 12 plus years, almost 13 years. And basically now, I'm on my own learning AI. And it's really funny that like I actually dropped out of school. So I had so much trouble reading and writing that I can only like learn by doing. And so that's what I do. And that's how I got all the way to some crazy projects, working on, stuff that now affects billions of people, like literally 1 billion people come across the software stuff that I've worked on, which is absolutely mind blowing. And AI is that times 8, 8 billion people on earth. It's going to affect everyone. And I have to learn by taking stuff like this and what engineers publish and write about these really complicated models. And these people have gone through the real experience and they're sharing this live and available for everyone. And so instead of going onto YouTube and looking for people who just yap and actually don't do the engineering diligence, we should be, as engineers, taking a look at this and trying to build with it and try to understand, what are the inputs? What are the outputs? Can we tune anything? Is it even tunable? How can we chain this stuff together to make reasonable apps and do really cool stuff? And that's what I'm all about. And so this is kind of my movement. I'm using AI to build freedom and kind of like sort of now have been building this community of people who are really interested in joining. So this is kind of what the energy is that I'm about. I'm not here to sell you courses. I'm here to build. I'm here to build live, right? If you're seeing me sell courses, like to me, I can't even follow a course myself, right? Because I dropped out of school. Like I even tried to go back to school and I failed. Like I failed English 7 times. It's so bad. Like I have problems, but I can play with things and I can figure them out really fast. And I love doing this stuff. And this is kind of what I like to do. And if you're all about this energy and you're about this stream, definitely join, hit the join on the Discord. I got the Discord links in the description. If you want to go ahead and scan something where you can put your phone up and like, join the Discord. Let me go and see if I could bring that up here on the Finder, because I think I have that in here somewhere. But just join this link, HTTPS. This is the polar link here. So this is to join the AI Discord here, and it's pretty reasonable. https://rfer.me/discord. So if you go that here, basically that's the link to kind of join the Discord here and join other folks who are building. We've got like over 100 plus members in there right now. And the price is going to double at our 200 member mark. So we're not that far away from it. And so get in while the price is good. I think it's only like $14.99 right now. And so, yeah, it's a really cool, fun place to build. And yeah, Daniel, you're going to get in for free for that 1 month for just giving me that solid gem. I might even hook you up with more, bro, because I think we're cooking here with something really, really crazy. And this is what I like to do. I like to, as soon as the models come out, like try to understand what they're doing, play with them a lot, learn more, try to get this type of information and just really cook, because there's some really serious stuff that's going on here. We haven't even finished going through the rest of the document, and I'll definitely do a part 2 of this. And if you want to tune in tomorrow, I'm going to have a AMA that's going to be going on. So tomorrow, my goal at 9:00 on Sunday is that you can come in, ask any questions you want. So if you're using Cursor, if you're using Anthropic, if you're using Claude Code, just let's ask questions and kind of hang out. So I'll have some of that posted on the Discord. I'm going to make an AMA channel so that you can ask your questions on there, post them on there. And that way I'll be able to go through some of the questions and have them prepared so that we can kind of talk about it live, because that's kind of what I want to do. So if you want to go ahead and join the Discord, that's probably the best place to kind of get started and start the conversation, start chatting with people. I do have a members only video that's coming out this Sunday. So that's going to be coming out at 7 a.m. And it's going to be my little speed run. So you can basically make this, $1 billion SaaS if you want. I have a couple live streams that are already out on that, but this is the compressed version, edited down to save you time. So my members have already had a week or so to kind of take a peek at this video. And so you'll be able to watch it. It's going live tomorrow. And so at 9:00, we're going to be doing the AMA, which is going to be a fun place for you to join in. Ask any questions. It's free. So it's going to be available here on YouTube, on X, on all the different platforms for y'all to join in. So yeah, let me answer some questions right now and kind of catch up with you guys, because I want to continue this as like a part 2 later in the week, because I feel like we're just scratching the surface with GPT-5. And it's going to be really interesting. This is a little bit different. And what I like about it is the cost is way cheaper than running Claude Sonnet and Claude Opus. So if I can get that thoroughness that I normally get from Claude Sonnet, but with GPT-5 at a much cheaper cost, bro, sign me up. And like if we can make an app out of this that can actually change people's lives, bro, that's what I'm all about right now. This is what it's all about. Yeah. Noise. Yeah. Men versus women metabolic differences in food bioavailability. Yes. It's turning them into probabilistic bioavailability maps. That's another possibility too, right? There's also like 80-20 of things, right? Do you have enough information to know, like at a first glance, that something is completely like a scam versus not, right? So I feel like this is kind of where you can try to play around with it from a product perspective. Where do you want to be on this scale? And what's the last mile? Do people even need the last mile, right? I feel like in the US, food is confusing. It's too confusing. It tastes too good. It's very underregulated, right? And there's some chemicals in there that are highly addictive that you just don't know if it's combined together. You're always reaching for it. You don't know why, right? There's certain foods I eat that like 2 hours later, I'm hungry. And I'm like, why? This is just not satiating, right? But when I go to like Italy and I eat the food, I'm full for the whole day. It's hard to eat a lot there. It's just really weird, right? And so, yeah, I think Fujicate has been working on this for 10 years. Dang, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, the whole world of food is just opening up for me. I have celiac disease, so I've just had a small like window of it, but just trying to stay healthy and stuff has been really, really insane. Hormonal states, yeah, the protein bar delivers 18 grams, but only has 12 usable in men versus 14 in women on average. Wow, that's really interesting. I didn't really realize that. We're looking for impactful projects that clearly benefit from AI and have the potential to scale and align with strong ethical standards. I see. OpenAI's Impact Hours initiative supports nonprofits. Oh, that's really cool. That's amazing. Wow. That's actually really amazing. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much. Yeah. I'll have to take a look at that. That's so cool. Yeah. Oh man, this is amazing. This is so amazing. I'm going to bed. It's 3 a.m. here in Italy. We'll watch the rest later. Okay. Wowza. An American can go to Italy and eat all day and lose weight and then return to the US and gain it back. Facts. That's so crazy. I'm not going to say, but I'm allergic to so many foods people think I'm lying. Bro, no. Like I have some friends who are pretty bad too. And it's the whole food thing is really rough. There are lots of AI grants right now. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into them for sure. That's really, really cool. Man, we totally cooked on this stream. And if you enjoy this, definitely just like give the like is super great, but share it with another friend. This is the type of vibe I'm kind of rolling with right now. And I feel like we need this more in this era. Coming September 1st, I'm going to be streaming and everything from Hawaii, and I'll be there for 3 months. And so we're going to chill out and hang out. And I'm going to do a lot of live streaming. I'm going to do a lot of like video content creation. And, the Discord's going to be even crazier because I feel like in July, I streamed every single day, and it was just so amazing to watch all the people come together in a community. And I think we need to kind of build together. My eventual goal is to kind of launch into like events. I'd love to have events where we can all hang out and just start building together, sharing things like this, digging into these different topics, having people lead different, not shows, but like specific areas of expertise. Because my school is the school of hard knocks, which is literally learning by doing, trial by fire, being put into the masses. There's some crazy stories where like I was literally brought into a secret project at Apple, and at this, when I found out what I was going to work on, I almost died because I had to work every single day for a couple of years. It was absolutely bonkers, nights, weekends. I could not sleep. I was in charge of way too much, but somehow, these types of lessons teach you things about complexity of software, life experiences, and I've grown from that. And that experience is just so amazing. I feel like I have this like magical sword now that I could just wing at anything and just tackle problems that seem complex to everyone, but you just have to take them step by step, exercise that patience, and just be curious and be exploring. I feel like that's the base set you need to be very successful. It's like, as long as you're curious, as long as you think like an engineer, don't let these people on YouTube try to like convince you that some model's horrible. It's like, go play for it with yourself. Go prompt, right? Prompting makes a big difference. And even just reading the fact that they've trained this model to be very steerable with all these different parameters means that there's way more in there that we have not even taken a look at. So with that, folks, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time for that AMA, and be on the lookout for more good stuff. Definitely check out that link for the Discord in the description below, and I'll see you there. Peace out, y'all.